So what's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from Unsleeved Media, and I wanted to give you an unfortunate update on the situation with the background checks and keeping kids safe around Magic the Gathering. Now, Wizards of the Coast has no shortage of policies around microaggressions and mean words at events, but we know that after more than a month of the program being rolled out, that their entire background check program is toothless. It absolutely protects nobody whatsoever. And I really don't know where we go from here. If we look at the new terms and conditions that local game stores got, the new section 15, reads, "You will not employ or otherwise engage staff or other individuals who interact with the public on your behalf who A, appear on a offender registry or its equivalent and or have been convicted by a court or competent jurisdiction for a violent offense or a crime against children." Right? Very simple terms and condition update. Very simple rule. The exact type of thing that we would want to see out of Wizards of the Coast. Now, knowing what we know about local game stores having to survive by the skin of their teeth every month, I think it was reasonable to hope that WotC would have done something to help offset the cost of this. You know, to give them a break on pricing or to give out a special, just give them a couple of boxes at a cheaper price so they can make it up. They wouldn't have had to do any kind of promo. They wouldn't have had to print any new cards. They could have very easily helped offset the cost of these background checks, which they did not do. What we now know is basically Wizards has put out this policy that has said, well, if you hire somebody or if somebody gets hurt, a child is abused in some way at an event, we told local game stores that they had to adhere to these rules. And I guess that's literally the bare minimum we could have done, but it absolves us of any legal responsibility. And that's exactly what we see in their policy that came out. We remain committed to working with tournament organizers, local game stores, and the Magic community to foster a safe and inclusive environment. As a part of our commitment to safe and inclusive spaces, tournament organizers, retailers will be explicitly required to conduct background checks of all staff as permitted by applicable law. This includes Channel Fireball events, Grand Prix, local store events like Friday Night Magic, and professional events like the Pro Tour and World Magic Cup, as well as convention play run by Wizards of the Coast. I've spoken to several local game stores, and it's basically a checkbox that they now have to check to be, agreeing to. But Wizards of the Coast ultimately has some responsibility here, in my opinion, to at least spot check their local game stores, with so many of them very brazenly in the WPN group and on Reddit publicly saying that they own local game stores and that background checks are not enforceable or that they're just not going to do them. Now, that's certainly their right, but if I'm to believe that Wizards of the Coast really did care about this, then you would think that they would have some sort of spot checks. Like once a year, you need to mail some sort of proof that doesn't reveal sensitive information about your employees that you've run background checks on. Very simple spot check. All they'd have to do is check a couple of local game stores a year, and the second they found one that didn't and got their WPN terminated, everyone would fall in line. But they refuse to do this. And it took a Herculean effort by all of you to get Wizards of the Coast to even acknowledge this. As we know that there are people in the Magic community, influential people, that hate me so much that they would think that this is some sort of troll or that I didn't really care about protecting players, even though I have been on the forefront, on the bleeding edge of blasting ass at Wizards for every time they screw up. So we had to do this all by ourselves. And how did we do it? Well, we basically spammed the hell out of them. We had to call their customer service at Hasbro. We had to continue to reply to all of their tweets asking about what they're going to do. And it seems like, I'm not telling anyone to do this, but it seems like we're back at that stage again, because this is a non-policy. This is somebody pulling a lawyer in their office and saying, all right, what's the bare minimum we could do to make this go away, because we have a pre-release coming up and we can't have everybody posting on every tweet we do about offenders in the program. The fact of the matter is, with very little resources, we were able to find more than a dozen registered offenders that were either Magic the Gathering judges or people that had run local game stores. Now, certainly a wider net would catch far more. That's a common tactic by these people who gaslight, like, oh, it's only 12 offenders, only 12 predators, big deal. Or people actively saying, like, well, it's not like people are getting assaulted at events, which is untrue because several of the stories I read happened at local game stores. And the thing is, these predators use these events to groom people, to make relationships, to connect with them later. So it seems like, what are they waiting for? Some guy to pull a little kid into the bathroom at the next Grand Prix? I mean, we have really no confirmation that Channel Fireball's actually following through with this. If you read the threads on Reddit, you have local game store owners brazenly saying they're not going to do it, and it is absurd. Do not let anybody tell you that this is a financial burden. You're talking about most local game stores I know that I've been into have less than 5 employees. In fact, most that I know have less than 2. It's 2 or 1, and one of them's the owner. So this straw man argument, or this baloney argument, it's a red herring that this is some sort of financial burden on local game stores, is an absolute lie. What it is people reacting to being told to do something by somebody they perceive because of somebody they don't like. And I'm going to show you a perfect example of what I mean. Here we have Just by Chance Games posting publicly about it. This is February 3rd. Before I get into the how and why, we're reacting to these events with a bit of a rundown and set events in order. And again, of course, they've got to list my full name. Recently, a YouTuber personality, Jeremy Hambly, was banned from Magic events for his harassment of a woman, which was proven false, but they don't care about that, obviously. At least one of my many victims who publicly quit the Magic scene. So what a charitable explanation of the situation. Immediately following this, WotC came out with a previously unseen guideline that allowed them to keep certain people out of events, even events they were not taking part in. That were fairly obviously related to this banning. Good on WotC as far as we're concerned, taking a firm stance against misogynistic behavior that's driving women out of the game. Sorry, I'll stay on point here. Following these events, a group of trolls, that's all of you, by the way. Where are we? Guys, blah, blah, blah. These are entirely clear since blah, 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 blah. Now, if you're familiar with internet troll culture, falsely accusing large swaths of people of horrible things in order to stir up as much trouble as possible is par for the course. Except for that little thing called factual evidence, which I showed. I showed a dozen convictions with, I'm sure there's probably 50 or more. If, let's say, Brian from the Tolarian Community College who made this video, he probably would have came up with 100. Never mind the facts. This is about a guy who said mean thing to the woman, right? So what we have is, what are you doing? We refuse to comply. This is how many local game stores, if you read in the WPN group, this is how they view this. Some guy who says mean things on the internet who we don't like is the one behind us having to protect children, so we're not going to do it. How disgusting do you have to be? I don't really know. I mean, apparently we've made the front page of MTG Reddit with our rejection of WotC's new background check policy, and such has become a symbol of various things to different people, as well as a lightning rod for a bunch of Pizzagate level theories of us harboring some sort of judge pedophile ring. Well, here's the thing, Just by Chance Games and many other game stores who share this opinion. What am I to believe? What is the normal Joe supposed to believe when you're refusing to do background checks on flimsy ideological reasons? Your grand, the thesis you have here is we don't like Jeremy, so we are not going to do background checks, right? They are signaling for virtue in every way possible. So they boldly refuse to comply. What WotC has done has resulted them in avoiding a small amount of criticism. Can you believe this? This is disgusting. A small amount of criticism from a campaign of misinformation waged by a small group of disgruntled malcontents in exchange for their entire judge program being harassed, possibly out of existence. Again, a $10 background check. It's this reaction. I talked to a lot of judges who agree with us. Okay, a lot of them. They don't like being painted as harboring these monsters, but people like this are the one doing it, not us, right? I will be the first person to post a background check on myself. Happy to do it. This is their attitude, right? And WotC isn't going to do jack. They're going to continue selling WotC product. You just watch and wait, right? Additionally, people who sell their product are being forced to undergo a set of checks that are absolutely unprecedented. Background checks are basically an industry standard. Best Buy does them. Any commercial retail generally does a criminal background check. This is just a lie. I mean, this is just a lie, okay? Yeah, and then basically what they say is, look, they even admit, by the way, this is how pathetic these people are. I bet if Magic hadn't been terrible for years and sets were selling like they were in RTR, you wouldn't be taking this stand. Yeah, probably. Exactly. Exactly. Right? So don't make it about fighting internet troll culture, because that's not what it's about, just by chance games. And there are hundreds of local game stores who agree with this take. And I don't know what to tell you, moms and dads, but I would not bring my kid into any local game store unless I see some sort of adherence to the policy. I would want to see local game stores posting on their doors now that they take the Wizards background check policy seriously and post clean background checks to their employees. You can blur out their names. That's fine. You can blur out their picture. That's fine. I no longer trust that any local game store is actually going to go through with this because of the very public reaction of the ones that are not doing it. Now, the ones I know, as far as I know, have done it. But they also have no employees. You know, it's just them or one other person. Wizards of the Coast does not care about your children, does not care about the safety of the players in the game. They care about bending knee to a small amount of social justice-minded warriors who apparently view disgusting human beings as some sort of protected class. I'm sorry, if you're on the National Registry, you don't get any right to anonymity, especially when you're working with children. Everyone around this that fought against this should be ashamed. The whole Magic Mike's crew should be ashamed of themselves. Wizards should be ashamed of themselves. The Magic judges who doxed me and shut down my YouTube channel and shut down my Patreon, they are disgusting. But they have to sleep at night with that. I don't. And apparently we have to fire up the outrage machine again and let Wizards know that we don't accept this as any reasonable solution unless they're going to enforce some sort of checks. And if they're not going to publicly, what Wizards of the Coast needs to do is publicly mention this game store and let us know that their WPN has been terminated, right? If you're so bold to post this on your website or to go in the WPN group and say you're not going to do background checks, then I want to see your store's WPN terminated and I want to see it publicly done. I'm done fooling around with this. I was just on Milo last week. I'll keep going on shows. I'll keep going forever until I am satisfied that they are doing literally the bare minimum. Okay, you have this flimsy policy in place. Okay, great. Now just add a tiny bit of teeth behind it and make sure us, the players and the fathers and the mothers out there, know that you're standing by this policy. Otherwise, we can only assume that you're not. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to be notified the next time I upload a video, make sure you subscribe and take a moment to turn on notifications. If you want to support the cause of this channel, it survives because of the amazing generosity of those that choose to back me on Maker Support. The link is in the description, and hopefully you'll consider backing today.